One of the best pieces of content made for Total War Warhammer 2 is coming out very soon. The Hunter and the Beast, which adds 2 new legendary lords for the Empire and the Lizardmen. There's also a number of new units, faction mechanics, and other features to pore over. This video, in particular, is going to focus specifically on the new units joining the Lizardmen roster, so that you too can help retake the Earth for its rightful scaly owners. Before we look at NAKAI, I had to push up the baddest killer around, the Dread Saurian. The Dread Saurian is the largest, most powerful and feared predator living within the face of the Lustrian continent. They are few in number, and sacred to the lizardmen that tend to them. Their primal fury is only held in check by the enchanted armor plates placed onto them. At over 14,000 health, 100 armor, and a staggering speed of 60, these are veritable cold-blooded tanks meant only for one purpose, causing mayhem and discord in the enemy's ranks. Sure, they might make for a big, juicy target for those new archers and huntsmen from the Empire, but that's not a problem with this bad boy. He comes with a free, fully stocked missile resistance of 15%. Worried about gates at some poor Imperial Chode's settlement? Don't worry. The Dread Saurian has the Siege Attacker trait, allowing you to break their door down right away. This bad boy of the jungle doesn't travel alone. He has his posse, a few skinks throwing poisonous javelins around, making sure that what the Dread Saurian doesn't tear to bits, they'll get. I probably don't need to point this out, but yeah, he does come with fear and terror as traits. I think the name Dread Saurian gave that away. And he's by far the biggest unit that has been made yet. Remember when the Hell Pit Abomination was a big deal? Yeah, move aside, ugly baby. For one of the other 2 variants of the Saurian, you have the Feral Saurian, the inbred, less capable, and angry cousin of the awesome Dread Saurian. He has Rampage instead of a gang of skink buds to pal around with, and he has 96 less health and 10 less leadership than the Dread Saurian. If you thought the Dread Saurian couldn't get any better, you haven't seen the Shredder of Lustria, the Regiment of Renown Saurian. This guy has 10 more leadership, 12 more melee attack, and 8 more melee defense than our buddy. But wait, there's more. He comes with a hex ability called Dread Aversion, giving every enemy around him -8 to their leadership score. While enemies are crapping their pantaloons, he provides additional leadership to nearby friendly units with the Encourage passive buff. Now we can finally move on to the Sacred Kroxigors. The boxing heavyweight champions of the New World are probably the Sacred Kroxigors. At 100 armor, 120 weapon strength, with 84 of that being armor-piercing damage, 8,512 health, and magical melee attacks from their Golden Fist of Fury, these guys are going to be the ultimate flanking unit. Grab a few scrawny skinks, throw them in, and watch these crocs roll right on through that flank. They come in with 15% missile resistance to shrug off some of those annoying arrows. Siege Attacker, because of course they can break gates down with a jab and a hook. They cause fear but not terror because they want to show a bit of mercy. If they're the heavyweights, then the Regiment of Renown cohort of Waddle must be the welterweights, coming in with 10 more leadership, 9 more melee attack for a total of 45, and 8 more melee defense for a total of 34. Instead of missile resistance, they have 15% physical resistance. Now the real kicker for them is their armor piercing working in tandem with their magical melee attacks and armor sundering. With 84 base armor piercing damage and a further 30 armor reduction, these guys might as well have melted guns for hands. Now we're getting closer to NAKAI, but before we can reach him, we've got to look at his right-hand Kroxigor Ancient. 460 weapon strength, plus 25 bonus damage to infantry, and a whopping 320 of that strength is armor-piercing damage. These scales are not for show too. He's bringing with him 120 armor, and a decent 49 melee attack. For his abilities, we have Cold-Blooded as one of the old classic hits. Monstrous Strength is a 35-second augment giving plus 20% armor piercing and weapon damage, with another plus 16 to infantry damage. Ouch. His next ability is a Hex, lasting for 16 seconds, reducing leadership by 8, speed by 24%, and vigor by 9%. You're not getting away from him. Now time for some NAKAI. Lizard men are born from spawning pools, and often they come into this world in a group. NAKAI the Wanderer is one of the last Kroxigor from the first spawning, meaning that he's been around for a very long time. Since his home city was destroyed many years ago during the first great invasion of chaos, he has not pledged himself to any one city. Instead, he's wandered where the great plan has called him. Now he's back to destroy another intruder that has come to Lustria. NAKAI the Wanderer is essentially the Throg of Trolls. He's here to lead Kroxigor into combat, which isn't hard for him to do with 520 weapon strength, 60 melee attack, meaning that he's going to land his staggering hits, 120 armor, and a fast 50 speed. For a quick comparison, Orc boys have a speed of 31. He's going to chase you down and have you for breakfast. Like the Kroxigor Ancient, he has that one debuff ability, or hex ability, called Miasma of Despair, providing a big debuff, and for his own unique ability, he has an area of effect augment called Primal Roar. Everyone rampages nearby, but they all gain 22% physical resistance and 44 melee attack. Because of his speed and durability, you could use him as a meaty frontline attacker. For his lesser Kroxigor cousins, I would still use them for flanking. They have enough armor piercing to be effective against heavier enemies too, but I do believe that Kroxigors have been redeemed. They won't be nearly as fragile in their more advanced forms that we have seen here. Razor Dons are a species of thorny predatory reptiles, whose whole body is covered with an array of large, barbed spines. Not only are these a deterrent to their own predators and enemies, but it's also a weapon too. In a muscle spasm, they discharge their spines, shooting them outwards. Much like salamanders, skinks capture and train Razor Dons, and they are solely used on patrols or at war. Their purpose is to be that of living, mobile artillery. With 90 armor, they're a bit sturdier than salamanders. They have a speed of 70, so with careful micromanagement, they could prove to be a useful harassment tool. Their reload time is 10.8 seconds, and that is a little slow, sure. With their short range of only 115, it'll have to be an active force to use with care. Then they have the Regiment of Renown variant, the Amazon Barbs. The Regiment of Renown version of the Razor Dons is currently much better. Instead of just having armor piercing, they have a poison debuff too, and a 15% missile resistance upgrade. They have 10 more leadership, 7 more melee attack, 8 more melee defense, and 17 more missile damage. Again, making them a pretty substantial upgrade over the base model. While right now I believe they attack too slowly, there is fine tuning that could be done to make sure they can be used alongside salamanders instead of either or. I could see their armor piercing being an incredible focusing tool for heavily armored foes from the flanks, where you could just shoot up a single target. Once they're tweaked a bit, I'd love to see them in battle. Oh, and before I forget, 2 new schools of magic have been added to the Slan Mage High Priest. You now have one for life magic and for fire magic as well. So now you've got 2 new toads to cast spells with. All I've got to say is I can't wait for my Archmage. Let's make that Archmage possible for the High Elves. Anyway everyone, that's really the conclusion of my video. I want to thank you for watching. Do not forget to leave a like and comment down below if you would like to see more content like this in the future. And do not forget to click that little bell down below if you want to see all of my notifications. And if you would like to chat with me, ask me any questions, or just say hey, I do have a Discord server linked right down below. But I've really enjoyed the new content that's been coming out. I'm a big fan of fleshing out what does currently exist, and we're really seeing a lot of fine-tuning being done for older factions who needed a lot of love. The Lizard Men needed a lot of love, and the Empire needed to be reworked for a very long time. So I can't wait to show you more content, more units, and again, if you want me to do another overview, I can do so for the Empire. I'm still relatively new to doing all of this stuff here, so I will definitely try to improve and become better over time, especially as I have more time to do these. But it was a lot of fun, and I hope that all of you had fun too. Next, we're going to see some content for the Empire. Then you'll be getting a LP from me, a Let's Play. If you're new to my channel, to let you know about how I run those, I tend to edit those down. You're not having to watch me in turns. I talk about lore. I also have sometimes a narrative story going on. I might not have one going on at this time. I'm not too sure. It really depends on what I'm in the mood for. But I will be introducing patrons' characters too. See, my patrons can name units and heroes and all of that. So they really get involved into what is happening in each game. And I do too. All right, everyone. Until then.